Hi, this is Lady Lex UK and this is a Dreams tutorial. This is part 2 of my shooting enemy demo. Last time we created a wandering enemy character with a gun that could shoot at us and cause us damage. And in this tutorial I've put a gun in our player's hand and he can now shoot at the enemy. So let's play and see what I've built. So I possess my character here. So there's my wandering character over there. Now he's got a health above his head as well. So I can raise my gun with L1 and it's R2 to fire. So there we go. I've shot at him. He's lost some life. He's shooting at us. There we go. 80. Oh, he got us. It's a gunfight with like not particularly dangerous guns, but there we go. There we go. Whoa. There we are. Anyway, that's the mechanic so far. Obviously we're going to be adapting and changing this. We've asked me for lots of little features, but let's just do the basics to start with, and then we can add all the interesting features like stealthy tracing and being able to creep up on him and line of sight and all sorts of things like that. So we're just going with the basics at the moment. Okay, now one thing that I forgot to do, which wasn't a problem last time because it didn't crop up, but you need to label your puppets. So this one has a label of friend because that's our player, and this one has a label of foe because that's our enemy. We're going to use that to make sure that each of these puppets are only modifying the other. So it's not going to modify the health of itself. Because what I didn't realise is that in the gunfire mechanic that I put in, this health modifier here, even though this zone is not actually touching the puppet or its logic, every time it caused damage on our character puppet, it was also causing damage to itself. So what we do is we change the modifier so that it's only going to modify a friend, a player character. So we change that so it's only going to modify a player character, and when we do the same in ours, it's going to be the reverse, and we're going to modify just foes. So that's just a little addition to the puppet from last time. Now while we're in the enemy puppet, we've got a extra timeline in here. At the moment it's just a single keyframe, but you could put in something a little bit more complex. This is my keyframe for when he's hit. That's his hit reaction, and that is going to play wired from currently losing health. So every time you lose some health, he's going to do that move, and as the only way to lose health is to get shot, that works really well. So that's his hit reaction there. And of course we've added his number display above his head, so that's linked to current health, exactly the same as we did for the puppet, for the character puppet, the player character. So there we go. So that's the other changes that we've done to this puppet. All the other changes is now in our player. So let's go into our player and see what we've added. Right, now I did experiment around with laser scopes. The thing about laser scopes is they are a thin line and they are very specific. And so you can, I've used a trigger zone exactly the same as this puppet has done to get our bullets out. So if the character is in anywhere within this zone, you're going to be able to shoot him. It's up to you. You can use laser scopes, like I say. It's more fine, so you have to be more accurate with your shooting. But it's entirely up to you whether you use a laser scope or a trigger zone. Either way, you want to make sure that's pointing outwards towards the enemy at a decent length. So there we go. So if he's standing just outside here, he's not going to get shot. So you're going to have to decide how far that these bullets are going to go. Right, so what have we got here? We've got a keyframe. This is raising our gun. So that is wired up to the L1 button. So when you've got the L1 button held down, he's got his gun up like that. I've got an AND gate. And this AND gate is looking to see if I've got the L1 button held down. So am I aiming my gun? And then it's linking to the R2 button, which is my trigger. So if both of those are in play, L1 and R2, then I'm going to have a sound effect of a pistol going off. That's what that sound effect is there. So that will happen every time you shoot. You can't shoot unless you're aiming. Okay? Otherwise you'll be shooting your foot, which wouldn't be good. So that's doing that. Now, if this is true, so you're holding down L1 and shooting R2, it's going to turn on this trigger zone. And if there is, it's searching for foe. It's looking for a label. It's searching for foe. There we are. It's searching for a label of foe. If it finds one, and you shoot. So this is true, and this is true. Then we're going to modify the health of anything within this zone. Per hit in this zone, -10, and we're only going to look for foe. There we go. So it's exactly the same as we did for the enemy, and that is basically it. So we've got our gun, we've got our aiming, we've got our health modifier on the player. Now I say that's basically it. I have actually changed some of the rules in our puppet. So now, in our enemy puppet, so now in the gunfire section, I've added a little bit of something else. Okay, so this follow behavior turns on at the moment if you are in the trigger zone. So what I want it to do instead, I've put in an OR gate, so it will still turn on if you are in the trigger zone, but I also want it to turn on if you shoot him. So I've got a counter here to see if you've been recently shot. So we're looking at here, so are we losing health? If we are currently losing health, that means we've been shot, and I've wired that into a counter. That's going into our OR gate. So now if you are shot, we're going to turn the follow behavior on as well. So you don't have to be in the trigger zone for him to start chasing you. Now he'll chase you if he'll start turning towards you and start chasing you if he gets shot. This is reset when we're no longer in the trigger zone. So hopefully this counter, he'll work towards you, get you in the trigger zone, and then this will be in the trigger zone and it will continue. As soon as you're out of the trigger zone and you move away, it'll just stop chasing you. There might be a better way of doing this. I'll have to work on it, but at the moment that's what it does. So it resets when the wandering goes back on. Otherwise he's going to follow and the follow behavior starts off. I might fiddle about with that to make that a little bit more complicated later on, but at the moment we're doing things very simply, and we're just going to adapt and change this. I'm going to keep these tutorials separate so that you can always see the different stages, so you don't have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gadgets to look at and get all confused when you start. Excuse me. So there we go. That's the changes I've made to my shooting enemy. As always, you can find this tutorial in the Dreamverse. I will put a link in the description. And let me know in the comments what you would want me to add to this. I've already got some comments that we want to be able to sneak up on the enemy. We want to be able to only have line of sight so that it's not going to shoot through objects and walls and things. And we also want some sort of tracking from the enemy, so that if you lose him, he'll go into some sort of tracking movement. Now, that, by the way, will probably involve A-star pathfinding, and that's a really advanced thing. So that's a game programming thing all of itself. So I might do that at the end as we get more and more advanced as we go on. But starting off, we just want something simple that anybody can make, rather than getting too complicated with pathfinding and nodes and all sorts of things like that, because that's for one thing, I don't really want to get into that too early, because that's a lot of work. I might even use somebody else's ready-built pathfinding system if I can find one that will work. If that's the case, then it will be much quicker. But if I've got to build it myself, then it might be a while until I've managed to program that in. But there you go. Here is the next stage. So we now have our puppet with a gun, an enemy with a gun. So have fun with this, play about with it. You can remix this to your heart's content, make your own little game just using what we've got so far. There's nothing stopping you from making a game. Sculpt on these characters, make the set a little bit more interesting, and you should have a little game already. So enjoy that. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in your dreams.